Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 876A, and today's date is January 25th, 2016, and the title of the episode is China and Russia Are Preparing for a Bankrupt U.S. Financial System. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded an interview with Jason Burek on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. So if you go over to YouTube and you type in X22 Report Spotlight, it'll bring you right over to that video. Or you can come over to the x22report.com site. You can scroll down a little bit, look over to the right, you'll see the video there. Or you can go to newssentinel.com. That's NEWZSENTINEL.com. Scroll down a little bit, look over to your right hand side, and you'll see the video over there. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, on Friday, we had the high frequency team, the plunge protection team, push the market up to make everyone feel good on a Friday. And they always like a happy ending on a Friday because as we go into the weekend, they want everyone feeling good. They want everyone to pat themselves on the back that everything is fine in the economy. And then we hit Monday, and Monday just completely fell apart. The market is completely down. Everything that they did is completely erased. And what we're seeing is more and more of these large fluctuations in the market, and it's getting harder and harder for the high frequency team and the plunge protection team to keep this market up. And they're having more and more of a tough time doing this because a lot of the retail investors, they're looking at the situation and saying, you know something, maybe I should get out of this market. A lot of the elites, a lot of these big investors, they're trying to dump their stock, and it's getting more and more difficult to get people to come in and buy this stuff up. And we're seeing the market continually fall. And we are starting to see that the economy, even though the corporate media, the U.S. government, the central bankers, they all want us to believe that everything is fine and the economy is doing well and we have incredible improvements in every aspect of the economy. But what we're seeing is more and more layoffs. Saturday, I talked about how a global equities firm came out and said, okay, our predictions are the following. We're going to see mass layoffs in the tech sector. 300,000 plus layoffs. And guess what? We're starting to see it already. VMware is laying off 900 people. Sprint just announced they're laying off 8% of its entire workforce, which is 2,500 people. And this is going to continue throughout the year. And it's going to get worse and worse as time goes on. And people are scratching their heads like, why is this happening? The economy's improving, unemployment's very low, housing's fine, retail's fine. No, this is an illusion. This is what the Fed created with their creation of money, of currency. And they fed this into the banks. They fed this into all the hedge funds and investment companies. And we can see it's taking its toll right now. Because these companies like IBM, Caterpillar, Sprint, VMware, Oracle, and all the retail and manufacturing companies, they are not producing. They don't have sales. They're not bringing in the revenue. The market is manipulated by the central bankers to make you think everything is okay. And what always happens with a manipulated market, with a manipulated economy, it comes crashing down. We're already hearing the central bankers, the U.S. government telling us that things are fine, everything is contained. We heard this back in 2008. The Dallas Fed came out, and for the 13th month in a row, guess what? It has contracted. We are headed for a deep depression. I mean, January collapsed to negative 24. This is absolutely awful. I mean, we're going into the territory which we saw back in 2008, 2007, the end of 2007, going into 2008. We are already there. It looks exactly the same. There is no improvement whatsoever. All hope is crushed in the Dallas Fed. Across the board, production, employment, shipment, all collapsing. But don't worry, everything is fine. No, it's not. So far, we're hearing from every part of the economy, it is not doing well. But I must be peddling fiction because the president said it's improving. Well, I'm saying the opposite. The economy is not improving, and we have been tracking every little part of this economy, and guess what? It is not improving whatsoever. Manufacturing right now is in a recession, heading towards a deep depression. The Baltic Dry Index is at its lowest point. It continually contracts. It is not getting any better. This economy cannot survive on service. If we do not have manufacturing, this economy will die. And this is what we're seeing right now. Even if our manufacturing is only 10, 12, 15% of the economy, we cannot survive on a service type economy. It doesn't work. And this economy will come crashing down. And we know that the oil market is being suppressed. They're putting a lot of pressure on Russia, trying to destroy the economy there. We know the oil is being suppressed to try to boost the economy in the United States by giving more people currency in their pockets, allowing corporations to show that they have profits because they have less costs in fuel, in jet fuel, which allows them to keep a lot of their sales that they make. But in the end, this is not going to be enough because it's unraveling faster than what they can do here. And their manipulation right now, it's just not working. It's two separate things. You have their manipulated numbers, GDP, unemployment, inflation, and so forth, and then you have the real economy. I mean, just like we said, the holiday season was a complete bust. The banks have been speculating in the oil industry, and we're starting to see these large shale companies, they're starting to go bankrupt. They're filing Chapter 11. Sandridge is on the verge of bankruptcy. This is going to have a domino effect back to the banks because they're not going to be able to pay their loans. These billions and billions of dollars worth of loans, they're going to come due, and the banks will not be able to collect from them. This whole thing is a disaster. Basically, what's happening right now, and China and Russia realize this, the U.S. is going bankrupt. Bill Holter said it best. What we are seeing right now is centered on the petrodollar. I mean, will it survive or be replaced? Bill Holter is saying it's no longer an if, but when and by what will it be replaced with? So, what are we seeing right now? Over the last 2 weeks, we have seen three very important yet interrelated events. First, the sanctions against Iran, in place for over 35 years, have been lifted. Along with this comes the ability for Iran to sell oil, and they will now have the access of up to $150 billion worth of assets that were frozen. Remember, this money, the billions of dollars, is not something that the U.S. is just giving them. This was their money, which was kept in an account when they placed sanctions on Iran. So they're just giving them back their funds. They're not creating more funds to give them. Well, they might have to, they might have spent it, but it is their money from the beginning. Just a couple days ago, President Xi of China met with Iranian leaders one day and then Saudis the following day. Do we know what was said in these meetings? But we can speculate on what happened there. Most likely it's about oil. It's about supplies and who's going to supply China. And we know that China most likely is not going to want to use the dollar when they pay for this oil. Most likely they're going to want to use their own currency. And I'm sure China's making a deal with Iran. And when they do make this deal, guess what? The United States is not going to be happy because they want the oil sold in the dollar. This is what keeps the petrodollar system up and running. This is what keeps the U.S. economy up and running. Russia and China, they know full well what is happening here in the U.S. They know the U.S. is going to go bankrupt. It's going to crash. And this is why they've been duplicating everything out in the East. They realize the West system, the SWIFT system, the dollar as the reserve currency, all the trading systems are all going to be shifted from the United States over to China. And everything is being duplicated. They have the Shanghai Composite. They're going to have their own trading system. They're making bilateral trade deals all across the globe. They have clearinghouses. Every country is getting in on this except for the United States. And we can see at this point in time that this whole system is accelerating in a collapse situation. Out in Puerto Rico, this is a good example. They are defaulting on their creditors. They're collapsing. And we're seeing right now they might have blackouts in Puerto Rico because the largest ever muni restructuring has fallen apart. And the Power Authority balks at a $9 billion deal. So people might not be getting their power in Puerto Rico. We know the central bankers, the private Western central bankers, and this is also including China, because they're still part of the same system. They're just shifting everything because they realize the dollar system is done. They need to restart it. But they just can't restart something without maybe a war to interrupt it and say, okay, here are the winners, let's restart it. But they want a cashless society. Why? Why do they want a cashless society? Because this allows the central bankers to keep the funds in the bank. The financial transactions can be taxed. The financial transactions can be charged a fee. And guess what? There are no bank runs whatsoever. So Norway's biggest bank demands cash bans right now. This is what every private Western central bank government is going to be doing. They're going to try to ban cash. And there are certain areas right now where they're pushing this agenda. And eventually, it will be here in the US, it will be in Canada, it will be all over. Because they realize what happened in Cyprus and Greece. They realize that people in Greece went to the bank ahead of time. They didn't do a whole bank run where they ran to the bank and got their money. They did it very slowly. Over time, they realized, just keep taking it out. Put it under your mattress. And this is what they're trying to stop. John Kerry admits that sanctions against Russia, they're not working. No, they're not. Pepe Escobar is saying that the crash of 2016, well, a case can be made that it's coming from the House of Saud. And they might be instrumental in this global crash of the economy. Because we realize they hold a lot of the debt of the United States. Of course, this is kept a secret. And he's saying that Goldman Sachs, is saying that oil should turn around soon, which gives the elite a short window of opportunity, enabling the Saudis to dump massive amounts of securities in the market. The House of Saud may need the money badly, considering their budget, but dumping their securities is also clearly self-destructive. They simply cannot sell $8 trillion right off the bat. Because as we know, as they're continually pumping this oil and basically pushing oil out into the market, which really doesn't need more oil, they're destroying their balance and their wealth. And we see that it's taking its toll. There's also rumors in the House of Saud that there might be a coup against King Salman. So why is all this happening right now? Well, the U.S. government central bankers thought they'd be able to put a lot of pressure on Russia to get him out of the Middle East, but it is not working. They thought they'd be able to keep this economy chugging along by capturing Syria and Iran and the other Middle Eastern countries to keep the petrodollar propped up, which would keep the U.S. economy propped up. But all of it has failed. And they are noticing that the economy is starting to be ripped apart. And they don't want this economy, when I say they, the U.S. government central bankers, they don't want it to come apart by itself, because everyone would then turn to them, turn to the U.S. government, because you have to remember, for over the last, 8 years, they've been telling us that the economy has improved, it has recovered, and everything is fine. And if it crashes the next day by itself, how do they explain this? They can't. This is why they decided at the point the Fed increased the Fed fund rate, this was the signal it's time to bring down the collapse in an orderly fashion. And when I mean an orderly fashion, I mean the central bankers are getting prepared and ready to bring down this economy. And this is why everyone needs to be prepared. We don't know when it's going to happen. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen 2 months, 3 months, 6 months from now. But guess what? For all those people saying, oh, it's never going to happen, these are the same people back in 2007 going into 2008. They said the same thing. The same exact thing. It's not going to happen. I'm here to tell you it's going to happen. And it's going to be worse. Look at the indicators we've been following. Look at all the information and how this has led up to today. We can see the entire picture now. We see how this economy is falling apart. And this is why you need to be ready and prepared. Get your food, get your medicine, get your weapon, get your cash out of the bank, get your gold and silver. Be prepared. Make sure you have the supplies. If you haven't started, you can go to lifereliance.com. They have bug out bags, water filtration system, seeds. They can customize your order. They have everything ready to go. But whatever you're doing, you need to continue to do it. If you haven't started, I would start now. You have a little bit of time. I don't think we have much. And I think as they push this forward, we're going to see more fluctuations in the market. We're going to see more layoffs. We're going to see more retail stores close. We're going to see the economy come to a screeching halt. And this is why everyone needs to get ready for what is coming. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.